All right, we're about to dig into a mystery that's been buried for millennia. We're talking about a structure so huge, so unbelievably complex, that ancient historians who saw it with their own eyes claimed it made the Great Pyramids look, well, kind of simple in comparison. Let's get into it. So, what if I told you that the biggest, most mind-blowing thing the ancient Egyptians ever built wasn't a pyramid? What if it was something else entirely, something so vast that it has been almost completely lost to time? We're going to explore the evidence for a monument that, honestly, might just challenge everything we think we know. Okay, let's just hit you with the facts, rapid fire. Fact number 1, coming from the people who actually saw it, they described a single building with, get this, over 3,000 rooms.
Fact number 2, they claim that building this thing was a bigger deal. More work, more money, more genius than all of the pyramids combined. Yeah, all of them.
And now, fact number 3, and this is the real kicker. When you go to where it's supposed to be today, this is what you see. A worn-down pyramid and a whole lot of empty desert. So, the billion-dollar question is, what on earth happened to it?
To even begin to find an answer, we've got to start with the official story, the one that archaeologists have pretty much accepted for more than 100 years. The story starts almost 4,000 years ago with a pharaoh named Amenemhat III. He builds his pyramid complex at this site, Hawara. Then, thousands of years of silence. We fast forward all the way to 1888, when the legendary British Egyptologist Flinders Petrie shows up to investigate what's left. So Petrie surveys the area right by the pyramid, and he comes to a pretty harsh conclusion. He believed the legendary labyrinth was a giant mortuary temple, but that it had been completely taken apart over the centuries, its stones hauled away to be used in other buildings. Basically, it was recycled.
And this is so important. Petrie didn't find any towering walls or grand columns. He just found what he famously called a great bed of chips, a huge stone foundation just covered in the rubble from limestone quarrying. As far as he was concerned, the evidence was clear. The labyrinth was gone for good.
And for about a century, that was that. Case closed. The only problem is, Petrie's findings just don't square with the absolutely vivid, almost unbelievable stories left behind by the people who claim they actually walked through its halls. Let's hop in a time machine back to 450 BC to the Greek historian Herodotus, often called the father of history. He went to Egypt and he wrote about what he saw. And he's not describing a field of rocks, he describes an architectural marvel that he personally felt surpassed even the Great Pyramids. And Herodotus wasn't being poetic, he gave incredible details. He talks about 12 main courts and a staggering 3,000 chambers. He said they were split into 2 levels, 1,500 rooms above ground that he saw himself, and another 1,500 underground, which he was told held the tombs of kings and even sacred crocodiles. And he wasn't the only one. 400 years later, the geographer Strabo visited and basically confirmed the story. He described it as a palace made up of many palaces. And he noted that same, almost impossible architectural detail. The roofs of these huge rooms were made from single, massive slabs of stone.
So you see the conflict, right? You've got Petrie's better chips on one side and these ancient accounts of a megastructure on the other. And this mystery just sat there for decades until modern technology finally gave us a way to look beneath the sand.
Jump to 2008. A Belgian-Egyptian research team, the Mataha Expedition, brings some serious high-tech gear to Hawara. Their whole goal was to use things like ground-penetrating radar to see if anything, absolutely anything, was still buried down there. The results were stunning. The scans lit up, revealing clear signs of huge, man-made structures deep underground. They could see massive walls, some of them several meters thick, all arranged in a grid-like pattern. You know, the kind of pattern you'd expect from a massive complex of rooms and halls, just like Herodotus described.
And this has led to a completely revolutionary new theory. Remember how the ancient writers were obsessed with the roof being made of single stone slabs? The new thinking goes like this. What if that great bed of chips Petrie found wasn't the floor of a destroyed building, but the collapsed roof of a building that's still largely intact, just buried right underneath?
Now, if that theory is right, it forces us to completely reimagine the sheer scale of the labyrinth, which is the one thing the ancient writers insisted was its most incredible feature.
Think about it. The Great Pyramid blows your mind because of its height. It's all about verticality. But the labyrinth was a completely different kind of wonder. It was all about horizontal scale and just dizzying complexity. This is why Herodotus thought it was a greater human achievement.
It wasn't just one huge monument. It was thousands of rooms and dozens of courts, all woven together into one bewildering whole.
So how big are we talking? Well, based on Petrie's own survey of that stone foundation, we're looking at a footprint of around 28,000 square meters. To put that into perspective, you could take the entire Great Pyramid of Giza and the massive Karnak temple complex, and you could fit them both comfortably inside the walls of the labyrinth.
And this brings us to the obvious massive question. If a structure of this size really does exist under the sands of Hawara, why haven't we excavated it? Why isn't this the most famous archaeological site on the entire planet?
While the answers are complicated and pretty frustrating. First, there's a serious environmental issue. A nearby canal has raised the water table, which means the underground levels are probably flooded, and any priceless artifacts are literally being destroyed as we speak. Then there's the bureaucracy. The amazing results of that 2008 scan were kept quiet for years. And finally, there's the simple astronomical cost and effort it would take to excavate something this massive.
So that leaves us with our first huge open question. Whose evidence do we trust? Do we trust Petrie's eyes from 1888, seeing a field of rubble that screamed, "It's gone"? Or do we trust the geophysical signals from 2008 that hint that a wonder of the ancient world is still down there, just waiting for us?
And let's say it is there. The next question is, why? What on earth was the purpose of a monumental 3,000-room building? Was it just a massive tomb for the king, an administrative center for the whole country like Strabo thought, or was it something else entirely?
And that leads to the final and kind of unsettling thought. The labyrinth isn't just about one lost building. Its potential existence proves that a structure big enough to dwarf the pyramids could be built, could be recorded by the most famous historians of the ancient world, and then could be almost completely forgotten. It really makes you wonder, if something this large could just disappear, how much of our own history are we still missing?